Welcome to section 1.3. This is the third session of the ISACA CISA exam prep series. In this session, we'll cover risk-based audit planning. We'll answer several questions. What goes into planning an audit? How do you decide what to audit first? How do laws and regulations shape your plan? And what is audit risk, really? Why does this matter beyond the exam? Because you will never have enough time to audit everything. Picture a bank with hundreds of systems and processes. You have a small team and a tight calendar. Risk-based planning points your effort at what matters most. It lets you defend your choices to senior leaders, and it shows them the risk they accept if they underfund you. So what exactly is audit planning? It sets your overall strategy at the start. It details the specific steps to carry that strategy out. It comes in two horizons. Short-term planning covers the issues for this year. Long-term planning watches where the technology direction is heading. That includes shifts that will reshape the environment. How do you decide what to audit? You start with the audit universe. What is that? It's a list of every process that could be audited. Think of it as a map of the whole business. Then you assess the risk of each process. You score it against defined risk factors. Risk factors drive how often a problem hits and how hard. Let's make that concrete. For a hotel chain, reputation might be a critical factor. You could rate the impact by recovery time. A high rating might mean over 6 months to recover. A low rating might mean under 3 months. The time frame is the objective part of the criteria. The owner's judgment of that time frame adds subjectivity. Now combine the factors into one overall rating per process. List all the high-risk processes. That becomes your ideal annual plan. In reality, resources rarely cover the whole plan. So the gap shows leadership the risk they are accepting. How often should you revisit all this? At least once a year. That catches new control issues and fresh techniques. It captures changes in technology and the business. Senior audit management reviews the results. The audit committee or the board approves them. And you update the plan when the world shifts. Think acquisitions, new regulations, or market swings. What about planning a single audit? Each assignment needs its own careful plan. You weigh recent risk assessments and new technology. You watch evolving privacy and regulatory demands. You factor in deadlines and resource limits. So how do you actually plan one? First, understand the organization's mission and processes. Learn its governance structure and practices. Note any changes in the business environment. Review the prior audit work papers. Identify the policies, standards, and procedures in force. Perform a risk analysis to shape the plan. Set the scope and the objectives. Develop your approach and assign your people. Handle the logistics of the engagement, and look for chances to automate with audit tools. How do laws and regulations affect your planning? Every organization must meet external requirements. They govern how you handle, retain, and protect data. Heavily regulated industries deserve extra attention. There are two areas of concern. First, the legal requirements on the audit itself. Second, the legal duties that fall on the auditee itself. Both shape your scope and objectives. So what do you do about it? Identify the relevant external rules. Document the applicable laws. Check that management considered them in their plans. Confirm the organization follows its own procedures. And confirm that vendor contracts reflect those duties. You will not be asked to recite a specific law, but you should know how to audit for compliance with one. So what is the risk-based approach at its core? It sends your resources to the areas of greatest risk. It demands real understanding of the organisation, its external and internal pressures, its policies, objectives and strategies, how it measures its own performance. You also learn its products, governance and transaction flows. Why bother with all that depth? Because it tells you when to use compliance or substantive testing. It sets the nature and extent of your tests. You lean on controls and business knowledge, not risk alone. That lets the organisation weigh control cost against risk. Remember the shape of business risk. It can be financial, regulatory, or operational. Some risk even comes from a specific technology. An airline faces heavy safety rules and economic swings, so reliable technology becomes mission critical. Now let's pin down audit risk. What is it? It's the risk that a material error slips through undetected. 4 pieces shape it. What is inherent risk? It's the exposure that exists before any controls. It comes from the very nature of the business. What is control risk? It's the risk that controls fail to catch an error in time. Manual log reviews carry high control risk. Buried activity gets overlooked in the volume. Automated validation usually carries low control risk. What is detection risk? It's the risk that your own procedures miss the error. And overall audit risk? It's the risk you fail to detect a material error at all. Your goal is to drive that risk to a low level by the end. Where does materiality come in? Materiality is how much a finding actually matters. It weighs the significance of an issue to the whole enterprise. Here's the key relationship. Materiality and acceptable audit risk move in opposite directions. Higher materiality means you accept less audit risk. One small error may not matter on its own, but combined with others, it can become material. And do not confuse audit risk with sampling risk. Sampling risk is drawing the wrong conclusion from a sample. A few words on risk assessment and analysis. Who owns the organization's risk assessment? Technology management does, not you. You may assist if the expertise is missing, but management stays ultimately responsible. You can run your own assessment to support your planning. How do you rank risk across many subjects? The methods range from simple to complex. A scoring system weighs factors like complexity and potential loss. The scores then set the audit schedule. A subjective method leans on judgment and history. You can blend the two as needed. And keep a healthy skepticism. When you lean on management's assessment, stay alert. Their independence may be impaired. Finally, risk analysis is a subset of assessment. It helps you spot the controls needed to reduce risk. It guides your work, but it is not your audit evidence. So let's bring it together. Planning sets your strategy across short and long horizons. The audit universe and risk factors decide what comes first. Laws and regulations shape your scope. Audit risk blends inherent, control, and detection risk, and materiality tells you how much each finding matters. Plan by risk, and your limited time always lands where it counts. The MCQs covering all the topics and concepts from this session are available on RooCloud.com. Practice the chapter-specific MCQs before moving on to the next session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below or email us. I will see you in the next session.